So I made a bunch of short videos on YouTube, one of them being this one, where you kind of play as this character. There's sound, he walks around, he talks, he says stuff, then the enemy of some sort is saying stuff, you walk around a bit more, and then he triggers in the mode where he follows the player, and eventually, yeah, there's some sort of death happening. So these are my shorts, like horror shorts for YouTube. I wanted to show just what the process is like for making these videos. I did create the levels in a tiled editor. It's quite good for this. There's assets scattered on the scene. Well, I do have these points where I set up the object as a sensor, and on enter, the custom property that I set, there's a bunch of JSON code where I literally have items that I want to show in sequence. For example, when we go into this trigger, the main character is going to say, hey, what's going on? Then we initiate a new dialogue, like sequence, which the enemy will say he will turn into a specific direction, facing left and down. He will be playing this animation in idle mode. Then he says a bunch of stuff, some more. Then if we go into this, trigger badge, it's also a sensor. It's supposed to make the main character say, all right, there's a tag gaming on me, and the trigger that we stepped into is going to be removed. Actually, let me show you this trigger too and change it. So this one says he doesn't know I'm here. Let's make him say, "Whoops, got to run." All right. Sorry. Export as. So this is JSON's representation of the scene that Phaser.js browser-based engine can read. Replace. I hope everything went fine. So if I step into this area right here, whoops, got to run. So he says that and that's it. So for my shorts, for videos on YouTube, I have to memorize where I can or cannot step into because, well, I want to see something in the correct sequence. And just now I stepped into the trigger I wasn't supposed to step into because all of the functionality here is a huge lie. All right, if you've seen the short videos, most of those things are not actual gameplay, those are lies. I can step actually into multiple triggers and yeah, out of sequence, and stuff will happen. As a matter of fact, the navigation of this enemy character, it's really broken. He's going into straight line. All right, and now he's stuck in there. But that's as much as you needed to see for the short videos to see the narrative I wanted to say. Actually, let's make it more fun. Uh, I will uncomment the debug information so that the Matter.js physics library inside Phaser could be represented. So see these circles? So this circle matches the circle over here, kinda. It's offset a bit, but it serves as a purpose just fine. So this is the one where he says, whoops, gotta run. and bam, see, it disappeared. Let me actually show you the code in the game scene. So this is a bunch of sensors. I'm reading from the logic layer. Let me show you that again. I've got my layer of logic in tiled. There's my logic. So I was iterating over the object layers, found the logic, and so these are my objects. And as soon as one of the object object names is sensor, as the property name is sensor, just like here, then what's interesting for me, well, I will know that I will create a matter physics circle. I know it will be static and it will ignore gravity because I'm in isometric space, not in 2D Mario-like space. And I will want some physics properties. Well, what are the properties? Well, it is a sensor, which is a phaser.js property. I do search for on enter, which is a custom property I came up with. It is a string, but it's a JSON string. So if it's not a JSON string, it will fail, but I came up with the approach and I know the rules to follow. And this is my current dialog that is supposed to be displayed. In this instance, I know for sure that the value is a JSON. I parse it and I just slap it onto the phaser.js matter physics object property, which doesn't exist on the actual game object, but this is JavaScript and I don't care. I will know that the thing is in there, in the key dialog. That's pretty much it. Actually, let's see how I process the collisions. So matter.js exposes collision start method, which is just what I need. I am searching for a correct label. I know that the label I need is player, and it's a label of matter.js physics that I'm looking at. There is a player I play with. If it's a player, then I am searching for a dialog key on any of two bodies that I collide with or check the collision with or received collision information about. So we got that. If we have found a dialog on any of these, we know the trigger that actually gave us the dialog. So we read that from physics objects. So if there's a dialog property, then we know the exact trigger object that actually gave it to us. If we have found it, all right, we process the information, so we display the message on a character or the enemy. And if there's a remove trigger information on that dialog, again, this is the information. If there's a remove trigger, then the actual object will be removed. Matter removes the actual trigger. So it's needed only because we don't want to see the same message again and again and again and again. Let's go into process dialog. All right, we read everything we want from that dialog instance. So the code is so simple, it's actually embarrassing just how little I needed to do to bring the narrative to you. So yeah, if there's anything on the players node, Let's again show it here. Trigger. So player says so many bodies. And again, if I'm just this careful and I step into this, so many bodies. That's it. The object was removed. Same for this one. The player says, oh, tag social media. All right, where is that tag? Well, this one. Tag social media, etc., etc. Now, in this case, the dialog instance is a bit more complicated. So as I showed you before, so this also removes trigger, and there's a new dialog. It's an array of uh, more things that the character could say, but there's internal timer that will just every 2.5 seconds will see what's in the dialogue, right? So the enemy will say ha ha ha, then in 2 seconds the player will kind of scream no don't. So let's see that in action. So if I step into this, bam, what's he gonna say? My tag, smoking. I represent a sin. And then the stupid AI kicks in. So at this point, yeah, he says ha 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 ha. And there's no actual death in the game yet. How did the character with the knife switch to attack position? Well, while player was saying something, I said the enemy can chase to true. Enemy can chase to whatever was in that property. Of course, I search for the actual value, if it's true or false, not undefined or null or whatever JavaScript can interpret as being falsy. And enemy can chase. Oh, I didn't write it correctly. Can chase. Well, that's a demo for you. Lots of mistakes. With the update function, if the enemy can chase, then I'm literally going for character sprite uh, y and x position compared to y and x position of the enemy, and just slowly push it to the correct direction, and the rest is handled by the basic animation I have, but you've seen that in my previous video, I hope. So that's pretty much it. As for the sound effects, oh no, another layer of lies. So the logo, it's actually rendered on top of my HTML. I just positioned it absolute and bottom zero so that, I would have an idea of how wide my short video should be. And that's it. Same goes for this door. It will be more interactive actually. Let me actually showcase that a bit more. With the doors, it was a bit like with the actual tiles, it's a bit more complicated. I mean, it's also a sensor. It also has the on enter event. Um, I don't remove it because this is supposed to be displayed every time I step into this. And I am yet to write a situation where if I have a key in the game, then I can press something on a keyboard and the door will be switched to some other texture on on the wall, and I would be able to walk through it. I mean, just as a demonstration, let's go ahead and where was it? So it's on this layer. Let me remove it. Alright, if I save it now, if I export it as a basement, so this reloads. Let me go in here, and yeah, I need at least a door frame to make it more plausible that the door was open and I can walk through, and I will kind of make my character escape the terrible dream he is in. That's pretty much it. A lot of stuff to cover, and I got to this state in like maybe 2 weeks after I figured out how the collision works. And yeah, again, all of the dialogue sequences I showed in my short videos was a matter of me knowing exactly the place where I need to step in and the sequence I want to step into them so that the story could at least be told in a correct order. So now he's going to switch to Ken Chase. He walks in a straight line. There's no pass fighting. In the videos, I had to navigate my main character in a way that the straight line for the guy with the knife would be more plausible, and he wouldn't get stuck. Let's actually try and do that here. Nope. All right. He stepped into the door and sliced our character. And yeah, there's no collision for this portion of the screen just now. But yeah, you can see how it looks. All right, I hope this gave you some idea of how much trickery I had to put in to make these shorts. But also, I built a bit more tooling around the trickery, and I will need to write some more scripting kind of stuff to make these things more suitable for an actual game, which I'm clearly working on. So I hope you really liked it, and please do watch my short videos with the freaking faceless butcher guy. Cheers.